Welcome to the Kitcast by Hull City Kits, where we take an in-depth look at Tigers apparel past and present. I'm Les, and joining me again are fellow Match One shirt collectors Mikey and Adam. It's kit release season, so we'll be taking a look at the new 2019-2020 Hull City home shirt and also the new home shirt of the Hull City ladies. Later on I'll be taking an in-depth look at the 2003-2004 away shirt. Before that though, let's have a look at the pickups. Let's see what's been added to the collection of the Kitgeeks. So Mike, what's new in your collection?
Slim pickings for me this month, so I had to take a little bit of a punt on this shirt. So this is a 2009-10 away shirt, which I bought being listed as a replica, but it does have full-sized Premier League patches on the sleeves, and it's also got full-size name and number inset, so I'm happy to call it issued. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at this month.
Fair enough. The club did use the full-size letters and numbers for replicas, but they didn't use the full-size player patches. So
yeah, I think I've hopefully found a good little find there really with what I've come across. I know that my replica from back then, which I've got Nicky Bambi on, had full-size Premier League name and number on the back, but like you said, did have the small patches, so yeah, happy.
What about you, Adam?
I've picked up a few shirts. So first off, last season's home shirt, worn by Reece Burke. So quite happy with that. He was my player of the season last season, so I'm really happy to have one of his. Yeah, it's a nice little pickup. And then second would be a Premier League shirt from the game against Manchester City from David Myler. So nice little one as well. Got that quite cheap, so it's a nice one to have. And then third, it isn't a Hull shirt. We've gone a little bit out there, but it's got the whole connection to it. So it is a Jackson Irvine.
It's beautiful, is what it is.
Australia shirt from the game against the United Arab Emirates when they lost 1-0.
I'm not surprised they didn't want to cut that one.
No. But yeah, just the patches on it are just glorious, really. And then obviously the one that's from when they've won it the 4 years before.
What's fascinating about Australia shirts is replica shirts aren't allowed to have this crest on. So if they do put a version of it, they amend it, but you'll only see it appearing like that on full players shirts.
Yeah. So yeah, really happy with that one. Anything coming to your collection?
Not shirts, but I have picked up several items from Andy Payton. He was a bit of a hero of mine when I was a lad, and I met him recently and I picked up a few things, mostly sort of training items. So there's this Admiral track jacket, which was his when he was in the youth team, back when we tended to put a lot of red in our training wear. The zip's been broken on it, it's been used again and again and again, but I think that's a good sign, and when it comes straight from a player, you're not questioning the provenance, so that's one.
It's beautiful,
nice piece. Thank you, Mikey. A follow-up, this was more when he was established in the first team, so this is a match winner zip up top. This was used between 1988 and 1990. This one's in excellent condition. It's a little bit bigger than the other one as well. Not that I can get into it. There was a pair of Match One socks, but I didn't think I'd bring those. But there was also this club players jumper, and there are various pictures of these jumpers. There was a few in different colours. I know there was a grey one. I think there might have been a brown one as well. But players would often wear them to certain club occasions. So this was the player jumper. So no shirts, but some sort of nice player pieces that have sort of broadened my collection a little bit. Anyway, enough of past kits for a bit. It's time to consider the brand new. Umbro recently released the new Hull City shirt, home shirt for the 2019-2020 season. And this is what it looks like.
The 2019-2020 home shirt was unveiled on Friday the 14th and has received some glowing praise from not just Hull City fans.
No, friend of the Kitcast, John Devlin's already said that it's kit of the season, kit of the year, straight away. So high praise. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's talk about it from a conceptual point of view. Where do you stand on even approaching taking the infamous 1992 shirt and sort of giving it a bit of a spin? Do you think that's a good thing, a bad thing, a neutral thing?
For me, I think it's a good thing. I think it needed to happen at some point, and I think it was always going to happen. The way that Umbro have gone about the business with it, I'm really impressed with. I feel like they've done the tick box to say that they've done a tiger stripe shirt, but they've not gone too over the top with it.
What about you, from a conceptual point of view? How do you feel about it?
It was inevitable, wasn't it? It was inevitable. People have been calling for it for years. I wasn't a fan of the idea, but I quite like the shirt. I think it's been done really well. For the tiger print section of the shirt, I think that bit's been done really, really well. So it's a tick on that part. There are other parts of the shirt that aren't so much of a tick for me. But
I think I feel quite similar to that. I was against revisiting the 1990s. I sort of felt all over print shirts should remain in the 1990s, and I also think all over print shirts, when using a tight pattern like tiger stripes, it doesn't actually work as a football match shirt, in that the colours blend together the further you get away, and the whole point of a match shirt is to be able to look up and instantly be able to identify a colleague without them merging into the background. And that's the thing about tiger stripes, is it's a form of camouflage.
Yeah.
It's meant to blend in. So from that point of view, having tiger stripes is contrary to having what should work as a football match shirt. And that was the reason I didn't want it to happen, even though I did feel it was inevitable. But one thing I'd say is Umbro have changed my mind, because they've got it so right. They've taken those, concerns that I had, and they've addressed them, and have come up with something that works as a football match shirt, as well as sort of a novelty piece, or something to scratch the itch of the people who were sort of clamouring for a return to tiger stripes. So from conception to execution, then, how do you feel Umbro have done in executing the shirt?
Yeah, I think their execution's been pretty good. I have called for in the fact that I would maybe have liked to have seen some of the stripes sort of like blend onto the sleeve a little bit. I do think it looks like it comes to a bit of an unnatural stopping point in the way that they are on the sleeve there.
I do like it. I do really like the execution of it. It's a brilliant shirt. We're gonna look good, aesthetically pleasing playing football in that shirt. That is a pure fact of that shirt.
Yeah.
The cuffs need more work. The neckline's not great, but it's done well. It's not gone. I think if it was full tiger print, it would be a mess. I think you can't go down that route again. It's been done. I didn't really want to see it happen again. Don't want this to be the start of it happening every season. We're not a tiger print shirt club. We're not a comedy club. Sometimes we are, but we're not a comedy club. The black and amber stripes need to come back next season. It's a nice one-off. It doesn't need to happen religiously over and over again.
I think because I thought it was inevitable, I'm almost, in a way, relieved it's been done, because it might be another 20 odd years until we give it a try. In terms of execution, I think Umbro have done a really good job. I don't have a problem with the stripes not going over to the sleeves. I kind of like shirts with a yoke print, and I sort of kind of like that. I guess some of it would be is if the stripes blended over into the arms, you've got to have a free space for the patches. That could become quite messy. So I think that's maybe the reason I don't mind it. I really like that Umbro have clearly defined the stripes. They're not fuzzy in the same way there was in 1992, where they had sort of raggedy edges that they're quite bold stripes, and also they've spaced them out well enough. There are black stripes on amber. It's not black and amber stripes, which could merge together at a distance. So even the top half of the shirt retains that mostly amber look. So that I find fascinating. Beyond the tiger stripe pattern, then, are there any details on the shirt that you find interesting, for good or for bad?
Yeah, Adam did touch upon it a second ago. For me, it's the collar. Or what you can call a bit of the collar. There's kind of like a trapezium shaped mark there, where it's kind of like solid amber with then the black neck trim around it. I feel like they've overcomplicated a little bit. I think more of a basic simple crew, either all in black or all in amber, would have maybe looked a little bit more classy.
Okay. I'm really gutted that you don't see much in the way of polo collars, turnover collars anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of that's because players say they don't like them, they find them fussy, but I sort of miss that. We haven't had a turnover collar since 2003 or 4, and I would love to have seen one. I personally would like to have just seen a nice, simple black small turnover polo collar.
Yeah, it makes me think of the sort of the England shirt of sort of 2010. I think Manchester City had a similar one around about the similar time. Yeah, that would look really good on that.
Yeah, I think sort of maybe that window's closing now.
Yeah,
they're sort of becoming less prevalent. Manchester City had one, as you said. Manchester United had one. France were probably a really good example in the 2014 World Cup. But I do wonder if that maybe ship sailed, which is a bit of a shame. I do like a collar.
Collars look good for the fan wearing them as a replica shirt. I think a collar on a football shirt, now that it's meant to be an athletic garment, it's not meant to have the extra bit. It's it's meant to be streamlined and something less to grab onto if you're defending a corner or whatever. And I think we have seen the end of big collars on shirts.
Any other details that have caught your attention?
I'm disappointed with the cuffs, I'm not going to lie. After last year's taping around the bottom of the cuff, the sleeve, onto the cuff, I think it's just been a little bit lax.
Okay. You was a big fan of the Umbro taping.
Yeah, I love it, as you can see modelling here, and I just think that I mentioned in the review that we did for the website that I kind of have the hope that we might see something on the away or even the third that would just kind of pique our interest again in that, because I feel like the way that they've sort of done the taping over the last couple of years, they've kind of slightly modified it, but it's been sort of there, and we've been impressed with it.
I suspect we won't see it on an away shirt. If you look at Umbro's releases, West Ham's, PSG, Derby's, they've not had anything like that on another kit. And generally, I think if they're going for a uniform look, I think we would have seen that. The one thing I found interesting is some of the photographs of the shirt made it look more orange than amber,
very Wolves-esque.
And I don't know if it's just somebody, when they've put the pictures and the videos together, has just been a bit overzealous colour saturating it on Photoshop. Because when you look at because the shots are clearly taken in the concourses, and they've put posters up behind them, and some of them are near that South Stand WWF bit where there are tiger stripes on the wall. And the thing I found interesting is there's a picture of an old programme cover from the 70s, and although that was a little bit orangey than the shirts that we wore, I don't think it was as orangey as it looks on that, and so that's what leads me to believe that the photos have been oversaturated, and when we actually see the shirts, they'll be the amber that we used to. I'm certainly hoping so. I don't
fingers crossed on that one.
Because to me, amber is neither yellow, neither orange. It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And it always irritates me when people call us orange, or when Pez called us Yorkshire orange.
Yeah.
And anything else that's worthy of note about?
I'm really happy with the way Sports Pesa has changed its font.
Right.
I think the font for Sports Pesa now looks more updated. It's a modern look to it. That the R just rolling over instead of having the stick at the top, the T rolling round instead of it just being a block finish to it. I think that's a really nice touch to Sports Pesa.
They've improved their word mark on our shirts year on year, haven't
Yes,
they? Because that blue device they had on the original was awful.
Yeah.
Then they've gone to just the word mark, and now they've really smartened the word
definitely.
mark.
And then Umbro being in white as well on their logo stands their brand out as well, which looks nice. It's an Umbro shirt. It's easy to see that it's an Umbro shirt, so it's a nice little touch of a different colour.
Yeah, obviously having the club name back on the shirt as well. Obviously the white of that does flow very nicely through one of the stripes, so that kind of
gives it a bit of balance.
Yeah, it does definitely.
Okay. Well, the new shirt's on sale at Tiger Leisure from Saturday the 29th of June. Here's another look at the shirt. For the last 2 seasons, Hull City ladies have used Umbro teamwear shirts, notably the Milan template, which they've worn to good effect. Recently, though, they've forged their own path and done a deal with the Rochdale brand Hope and Glory, who say they're open to giving smaller clubs bespoke kits, perhaps clubs you wouldn't expect to have them. For example, North Ferriby have just signed a deal with Hope and Glory too. Here's a look at the new Hull City Ladies home shirt by Hope and Glory. So what do we make of the new Hull City Ladies shirt? What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think it's quite nice. Refreshing is probably the word I would probably use when I look at it. It's kind of like, now having seen that we've kind of gone back to the old tiger print, they've kind of done it at the same time. It's, you know, it's kind of not black and amber stripes, it is kind of jaggedy with a bit more of a sort of an edge to it.
Yeah, I think I find it really funny that we've both gone tiger print the same season. It's a different one. I think Hope and Glory are a great company as well, manufacturer as well. I mean, the North Ferriby one is lovely. The Hull City Ladies one is lovely as well. I think all three of their shirts are lovely, but the home one especially is very, very nice.
What's your thoughts, Les?
The one thing that I found a bit frustrating is the raglan sleeves seem like a deeper amber than the body of the shirt. It almost looks a bit orange. I don't really understand that choice. I think the decision to give the tiger stripes like a feather edge white stripe has worked well, because I think that makes the stripes pop. The one thing I would say is, though, in the way that the Umbro Hull City shirt doesn't look like a novelty shirt, I think this does a little bit. I wonder what the club, I wonder what Hull City thought when Hull City Ladies stole their thunder a little bit with a tiger print shirt. But it's interesting that they're going their own way, and I feel 50-50 about the Hope and Glory thing. I kind of like them going for the bespoke look. I kind of like them going for a small independent brand. But at the same time, I also really like them in Umbro. I thought the Milan template shirts Hull City Ladies have worn for the last 2 seasons, I thought they looked really good. It actually had me looking online for the template and potentially consider buying one myself. Anyway, the Hull City Ladies home shirt is now available for pre-order, and you can find that on the hullcityladies.com website. Now it's time for me to have an in-depth look at the 2003-2004 away shirt, and here's a shot of it in action. The 2003-2004 away kit then. This was the first time City had a black away kit. Now, black away kits first came into the English game in the mid-1990s after the Premier League referees ditched black kits for wearing green. Cantona's kung fu kick against a fan at Crystal Palace probably became the quintessential black kit moment. That was the 93-94 Manchester United kit. Now, the Football League changed referee shirts a little bit later on, a few years later, and that opened the doors for Football League clubs having black kits. This was the first. Although it's ostensibly branded Patrick, this shirt was actually designed and made locally by Dewhursts of Driffield. They simply licensed the Patrick branding. It's got a wrap over V-neck with amber tipping trim, though the amber is quite yellowy compared to what it was on the home shirt. There was piping on the sides, which sort of split the front panels from the mesh side panels, and this pretty much corresponded with piping on the shorts, so it looked like it went all the way down, although on the shirts at the bottom, just above the hem, the sort of piping looped around, but usually that was tucked into the shorts, so it wasn't really seen. Although City tend not to need an away kit much, City used this absolutely loads. We wore it in pre-season at home against Middlesbrough, but then we wore it at Rochdale, Scunthorpe, Cheltenham, Carlisle, Mansfield, Kidderminster, Swansea, Macclesfield, York, and most famously at Yeovil, where Ian Ashby of course scored the goal that ultimately got us promoted for the first time in 19 years. I don't know whether it was through laziness or forgetfulness, but Hull City's kitman often forgot to put the Nationwide League sleeve patches on. There's lots of games where no players had a patch on, or some players had patches and other players didn't, but this was something that was rectified for the Yeovil game. This is Jason Price's shirt, and he went through most of the season without patches, but we know he definitely did wear patches at Yeovil, and that's what this shirt is from. Jason Price has signed it on the back here. There was a bit of alternate sock use with this kit. When we played Cheltenham in the Cup, there was some black socks used that were normally associated with the goalkeeping kit, but there were, you know, a full set of them, you know, 11 first team players all had these goalkeeper socks on. And also at York, we wore York's Nike red socks with this because the referee deemed the black socks to be too similar to York's navy socks. We've had a fair few black kits since then, but it's fair to say this is the iconic Black Hull City away kit. That's pretty much it for this Kitcast. We'll be back with another one when the away kit is released. You got any hopes for an away kit, Mike?
I'd love a maroon. I'd love to see the return of the maroon. Just more of a pipe dream than anything, but we shall see.
You disagree?
Yeah, massively.
Okay.
I would really like a green one.
Okay.
If we're going to go back to tiger print and things like that, then I think a jade or a green mint, that would be the direction I'd go in. Completely different.
Okay. I think because we missed out on Umbro kits during their golden era in the sort of 80s, late 80s, early 90s, regardless of what colour it is, I actually think I'd like to see something with a classic Umbro template on it. You know, I think to like an away kit that Sheffield United had that was classically Umbro. I think I would just like Umbro have got like a really rich back catalogue of patterns, especially in that era. And regardless of what the colour is, I'd just love us to see us sort of experiment with something that's very Umbro. So like the new goalkeeper shirt where they've got that shattered Umbro logo. When I saw that, that reminds me of a goalkeeper shirt Manchester City had in the 1980s, and I think Tony Coton, their goalkeeper, wearing it. I think I'd like something like that. It reminds me of a classic Umbro design from the 80s, because you know Umbro wasn't something we had back then. I think that's what I'd like to see.
What about like David Seaman Euro '96?
Maybe not. I think that's why I'm saying late 80s rather than early to mid 90s, when it all went a bit, you know, vomiting a full pizza up, that kind of thing. Anyway, we're Hull City Kits on social media. We always like it when you show us your stuff, be it match-worn shirts. We also like it if you want to sell us that stuff too. So do get in touch at Hull City Kits, and we'll see you again next time.